Hey, welcome to another great episode, great week of the Real Deal podcast. Happy Monday. It is December 15th. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back with another incredible week of episodes. Got a lot of great guests coming up, and episode 300 is almost here. So this will be episode 299, and this is the last week of the 2025 shows here. Got a couple shows today and tomorrow, and gonna take a little bit of a break for the holidays. So looking forward to this week and enjoying this little hiatus for about a month, and be back with more episodes in 2026. But before we get started, before I bring my guests, hit my music. Let's get it. All right, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back with a new and exciting episode, as I said at the top, with this last week of the Real Deal podcast in 2025, last of these of this year. So looking forward to 2026, but I got, like I said, a few episodes this week. So before I bring in my next guest, you can follow the show on all the podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're also on YouTube, BS3 Network YouTube channel, also the BS3 Network Roku channel as well, BS3TVLive.com, iHeartRadio, wherever you consume podcasts, we are there. So you can follow all the shows on the network as well, and you can follow me on all the podcast platforms or on the social media platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook. That's where I'm most active, and I'm also on TikTok and Blue Sky. All right, well, let's get started, and let me bring in my guest here. We've been trying to get this going for a little bit, and we finally made it happen. We just busy, it's holidays and everything too, but this incredible woman is very busy, so we've been flexible with each other just to we connected on LinkedIn. She is the account executive at the Chicago Fire FC, also the 2025 Wise Women to Watch winner, and 2024 Wise Women to Watch nominee, and 2024 Chicago Fire FC Rookie of the Year. So we're going to get into all of that. So welcome to the show, Erin Parker. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Courtney. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on, and really appreciate your time, and thank you for accepting the invite. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night.
Yeah, definitely will be. And I said I'm very excited to have you on. And again, thank you. And like I said, we've been talking for the last couple months, and we finally made it happen. So it's only right to have you on. Almost at 300 episodes, as you said. You almost made it.
Right.
When I had you on, it was like, I mean, you probably would have been like 290 or something like that. But
I'll get closer to 300. Right?
Yeah, of course. But I'm, like I said, I'm excited to have you on, and to get to know you a little bit and share your story. So again, thank you for accepting the invite, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get started. First question I always ask my first time guests on the show: who was Erin Parker, and how did you get into sports, and how did you get into where you are today?
Oh, great question. What a hard one. We'll start at the beginning. Born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've got two amazing parents. They're both small business owners, which has definitely played a role in my success early on here. Been involved in sports from a young age. Like, as soon as I could kick a soccer ball, shoot a basketball, I was in it. I just loved the team side of sports and the camaraderie. I wasn't a huge fan or athletic enough to do any individual sports, but I've always kind of loved the idea of working toward the greater goal and supporting a team. Went to the Ohio State University.
Okay.
Coming off a tough loss against Indiana, but hoping we're going for a two-peat this year, man.
Yeah, for sure. And no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying, yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah.
No, yeah, Ohio State. Okay, and the Ohio State.
The Ohio State, indeed.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well,
yeah, and
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that was kind of my first foray into sports. I was lucky enough to be a varsity athlete there on the rowing team for 2 years. Just walked down my freshman year and essentially did a novice program, learned a row program, some of the hardest years of my life. And after 2 years, realized rowing wasn't necessarily the right sport for me, but I knew I was in the right industry.
Hmm.
And so I pivoted, took up an internship with our athletic department and corporate partnerships team. So, for 2 years, really up until the pandemic, I was helping our corporate partners activate on Ohio State football, basketball, wrestling, really any kind of the big sports we got at Ohio State. I also
Okay.
did some work on the marketing side for the athletic department, and that is really sold me on staying within the sports industry. I think over the last few years, I've kind of tried and erred a couple times to figure out what is the right fit for me and what
Yeah.
is the career path. And, excited to say that I'm going to be taking a step here future on in my role at the Fire, and I'll be running more of our premium, kind of managing those accounts here, and really excited as we look to having a new stadium in 2028. So it's nice to finally
Okay.
say I've got a vision, I've got a 3 to 5 year plan, and I'm really excited about what we're doing here organizationally.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I always like to enjoy to see everyone's path has been different when it comes to where they are today, or
Yeah.
how to where they are. And as you said, from a business standpoint, that kind of led you with your parents being in business, kind of led you where you are with the background. And but I want to go back. I want to rewind back to you said
Yeah.
growing and everything too. Talk about the your athletic background with that. How has that discipline and experience from that translated to what your professional career?
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you guys who aren't necessarily aware of the sport of rowing, in my opinion, it is the biggest team sport you can find. You have to, get as granular as understanding the other people in your boat, how they move. It's a nonverbal sport from a rower's end. Now, obviously, the coxswain that speaks, but it's all about pushing yourself as hard as you can for your team to beat a certain time and
Yeah.
stay in sync and unison. And I think going through Ohio State, one of the best programs in the nation, the discipline I learned, something that was instilled in me is something I carry today, and also just the patience. You train for, a couple times a day for months out of the year for one race. And it's really incredible to take that kind of those lessons here in my day-to-day job and know, hey, if I continue to put the input in, continue to work on the minutia of my day-to-day, how can I become more efficient, a better seller, a better leader, a better account manager? How can I take that to where those wins kind of stack up 6 months to a year and really see that progress over time if you don't necessarily see the progress day to day.
All right, I love that, and as you said, taught you like I'm sure like discipline, teamwork,
Absolutely. Yeah,
with having that type of a sport and rowing. You said you got to be a
mhm,
unit,
for
for
sure.
sure, and be in sync
Yeah,
and everything too. And I've been watch rowing in the Olympics and
mhm,
things like that. And yeah, it's a competitive sport just like anything else as well. So you said it definitely had you said transitioned you into the executive role at where you are today. So you've been with Jordan and basketball retail sales as well as an
mhm,
account executive. Talk about your experience there, working with the brand of Jordan, Nike, and
yeah,
on the retail side.
absolutely. And I think to kind of understand the value of that role, let me, back up a little bit to college. I was a junior in college when the pandemic hit, and as we all remember, sports were one of the first thing to go.
Yes,
So,
yeah,
I got an email or I got a text from my boss saying, "Hey, you're done." In the nicest way possible. We can't afford to keep you on. We don't know when we'll have live sporting events with fans again. He was very transparent, like you should probably find a job. So I took a job. I moved after college to Austin, Texas. I was selling insurance. Cold B2B, B2C sales, like
yeah.
grinding. Oh, I hated it. Um,
Phone calls. I
and
know. I've done it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still do it today, but those were something special. But it really threw me into what sales is, and I realized that I love the connections of sales, but I miss the sports. Like I was bonding to sell, insurance at the time through sports. That was often my rapport building was, using some kind of sporting experience. And so I was like, you know what? I want to be closer to my family and move back to the Midwest, move to a big hub, move to a big sports city and see if I can get a job in sports. Foolishly, I moved to Chicago without a job lined up. Thank God for,
Right.
my aunt willing to house me for a little bit and help me figure it out. But the first thing I did was network. And
Mm.
I was in the gym in my building and I start talking with this guy and he's really cool. He's got TCU shoes on, so I'm kind of making fun of him for TCU getting smoked the year prior in the playoffs. And
Yes.
right, yeah. We're talking it up and I find out one of his, close friends from college used to be pretty high up in Nike. And of course,
Mm.
Nike's the dream. I was a Nike athlete at Ohio State. I grew up loving
Right.
it. There was the movie. Yeah, just an absolute brand obsession with Nike. And so I, asked him, hey, would you be willing to connect me over this guy over email? Like, I'd love to be able to pick his brain. And so I'm talking to him over email and maybe someday we'll share the name, but he was really high up in Nike and he is such a busy guy to do a favor for his friend and give me 20 minutes and a phone call. Like, it spoke a lot of volume to this
Right.
man's character. And so he was in the middle of doing some consulting work in Austin, Texas, but he spoke with me and he was like, Erin, I loved working at Nike. I loved, running the Jordan brand. And he said, I think one of the most impactful things you can do is go do a year of retail. And he's like, I know you're going to feel, hey, you've got a 4-year degree. This might seem, beneath someone of your educational background. He's like, but what you're going to learn in a year of retail is you're going to be able to carry with you for the rest of your life. And I
Mm.
could not agree more. I quickly rose my rank. I started day one part-time employee. I networked my way
Right.
to Nike Chicago downtown. I was making 14 bucks an hour, or whatever the minimum wage in Chicago is. I
Yeah. Yep.
didn't eat out for 2 years, but I worked my butt off. And by the end, I was getting asked to help on activation. So I got to play a huge part in the Sabrina Ionescu activation and just even
Mm.
being there. Yeah, to see a signature
Yeah.
women's basketball shoe come out for the first time in, over a decade, that was a full moment for me. And then getting part of the Chicago Marathon. And it just, being able to understand how a consumer interacts with an end product, I think, is invaluable experience. And just the monotony of the role, trying to continue to find growth in a role that's been done years and years and years. So I learned a ton, especially about my character. It turned me into a great leader, really taught me resilience, and ended up networking my way to the fire. And I was able to kind of leverage the skills I had in Nike. I had gotten some leadership experience. I had gotten brand activation experience, sales experience, service experience. I was able to wear so many hats on a day-to-day basis, and I was able to leverage that in an interview to get to the fire.
Mm. I love that. And that just shows, as you said, start at retail, which retail is important. I worked at
Yeah.
retail. I used to work at a sneaker company
Oh,
itself too.
nice.
Olympia Sports back in
Yeah.
when I was living in upstate New York,
Mhm.
and I did that for years and everything too. So and I customer service and
Mhm.
so it's very important. You said yes. People might think, oh, starting this way, but you're right. You got to do connections, networking.
Mhm.
Like you said, being part of Sabrina Ionescu's shoe launch and things like
Yeah.
that. You might not have never had that type of opportunity, and
No.
then to see where, like you said, to use that experience and service and things like that to where you are today, and become an executive. Uh, that's just that just shows, like you said, the resilience and continue to keep working and building your
Mhm.
resume in itself to where you are today. I think that's a good for anyone that's listening that for advice that starts out may have to start at a retail or at an entry
Yeah.
level. You can manage and work your way up. Might take some time, but
Mhm.
but if you work hard and everything too, just like you said, like you did, and to where you are today, and that helps your experience. That experience helps you to lead to where you are today.
Oh, absolutely. And some of the best leaders I've ever met were Nike retail leaders.
Yeah.
They're my
Right.
mentors to this day. Some of the best people I've ever met. Like, I would not trade that experience. In the time, I was ready to get out of it, but
Right.
looking
Right.
back, wouldn't trade that experience for anything. It's really invaluable for me in my career and remembering where I came from and just remembering to be humble and continue to grind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that said that right there, very very important. What you said about being humble, and
Absolutely.
yeah, there was days I did the same thing. It was days it's like I don't want to do this. I'm working. It was like I said, it got
Mhm.
monotonous. It definitely did.
Yeah.
It was just every day from whatever time they needed.
Yeah.
Retail, they needed you anytime.
Yeah.
You didn't have a set
It wasn't a
schedule.
9 to 5.
No, it
No.
was not a 9 to 5. No,
Weekends were gone. Yeah.
weekends were gone. 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning
Mm,
to do unload trucks and yes.
yep.
And but if you are into like if you're into like I said Jordan, Nike, and things like that, which I am into, same
Yeah.
thing. You
Yeah.
got to see the new releases. You got to
Oh,
see
yeah. Sneakers
all these
pass.
things, sneakers. Oh my goodness,
Oh
yes.
my, it was crazy. Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't ever a huge shoe sneaker. I mean, I love Nikes, but I wasn't. I'm not from Chicago, so I didn't really understand the Jordan craze. And then I got here,
Okay.
and I was helping lead Sneakers Pass in the downtown Chicago store, which we'd have a line out the door every day a shoe was dropping in the morning.
Yeah. Yep.
All these resellers would want to come in, but
Yes.
it was just I learned so much about like the history of the shoes and
Hmm.
the cultural significance of different patterns on the shoe and what it meant in the city of Chicago. And anyway, it was so much more than just a brand.
Yeah, so much more, so much more.
Yeah.
And I'm a big sneakerhead, so me
Yeah.
working at a store like that got me in some serious trouble because of the things I was buying, and
Right?
and
You're
then you
spending your
get
whole paycheck on the
yeah,
shoes.
yes,
Yeah.
and then we have the discount, and it was like, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, it's like when
Yeah.
new releases came out, and there was a buy one get one half off. It
Oh,
was like, oh my goodness, I mean,
dangerous.
me and the man of the managers I was good friends with, we would work together a lot, and
Yeah.
he was like, okay, these are coming out here. I'm gonna put these two sizes, as one for you, one for me, aside.
Mhm.
I was like, no, you're gonna get us in trouble, man.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, don't do that, But I do miss some portions of that, but then I don't miss those, like you said, those days of working Black Friday all the time and
Yeah.
hours and hours. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's some things, but it's an invaluable experience
Oh,
and everything.
absolutely.
I'll never trade it in either. I'm with you on that. So, all right.
Yeah.
So now transition from there
Mhm.
to the you said new business account executive for the Chicago
Mhm.
Fire, full time. You started it in October of 2023.
Yeah.
Talk about that transition and your day to day.
Mhm. Yeah, great question. I'd gone to a job fair when I was still working at Nike just to kinda understand where the sport marketing landscape was at. It was a giant sports job fair, so there were tons of different teams there. And I
Yeah.
think for me, originally I had gone in because my goal at the time was to get to Nike corporate, but I'd gone to this job fair just to see like what are the trends in hiring in the marketplace, like what are the most popular sought after roles to understand if I needed more skills. And I stopped at the Chicago Fire booth, Chicago Fire FC, and I'll be honest, I had never heard of them before. They're
Mm-hmm.
the MLS team at the time, and I think I knew in the back of my head, oh, the Messi's in the MLS, so
Yeah.
it must
Yeah.
be, same league. And I started talking to my boss at the time, Karen. Of course, she went to Ohio State too,
Of
and so
course.
I'm talking to her, and she is like, "Oh, you should interview for this role. It's all sales." And in my head, I'm like, "Oh, I had done sales in Texas. Like,
Right.
I don't want to go back to this." And so I was like, "Okay, I'll give you a time of day." And so, um, obviously went through the interview process, got an offer for the inside sales program here, which is very much like an entry level, essentially learn the grind of sales.
Right.
And I'm a big proponent in knowing your worth and advocating for your worth.
Mm.
And so I remember I was talking to my boss, Brian, at Nike at the time, and I was like, "Do you think I should take this? Do you think, this is a good next step for me?" And he's like, "I think the organization is a great next step for you because Messi's in the league." He's like, "But I think this role is beneath you."
Hmm.
And, at the time I had so many rejection emails from all these different, marketing and cool sports job I had tried to apply for. And so I remember I called Kara back when she gave me the offer, and I said, "No, thank you. I really appreciate you reaching out. I know the experience I have, and I know that I am the next level of this." And I said, "I understand that there's going to be a learning curve here because I didn't go through the traditional inside sales program, but I'm confident in my ability."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay, can I put you on hold?" Puts me on hold for a few minutes. I'm, sweating. I'm like, "Oh God, like this is not what I should have done." Like she's gonna put
Right.
me on a blacklist in the sports industry. I'm never gonna get a sporting job because I turned down my one opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, but she comes back and she counters and she's like, "Okay, I want you on my team. I'll give you the account executive role of membership sales, so you'll be working directly underneath me instead of the inside sales manager." And at the time, I had really wanted to work under her. That's really what the main draw of the role
Yeah.
was I
Okay.
knew that she would help me grow and get me to the next step in my career. And so, of course, I waited an extra day to make him squirm a little bit, but I accepted it. And could not be more grateful that I did. But I'll tell you, it's way more of a grind than I thought it would be. I thought, I'm
Mm,
getting out of Nike where I only get a 15-minute break, twice a day lunch. And but it is a lot of my day for the last 2 seasons has been driving revenue for the organization. And when you're selling a product through entertainment, a lot of it is output.
yeah.
So it's calling people consistently, sending emails, setting meetings, booking, what I mean, completing those meetings,
Mm,
driving people to our matches, upselling, cross-selling. Like there's so much intentionality that needs to go into your day. And it's the most like I know at the end of the day how successful I've been based on certain metrics. And it's the first role I've ever been in that is so metric heavy.
yeah.
And it's really sink or swim.
Mm,
To be fully honest, like ticket sales reps, shout out to you guys. Like if you do well in ticket sales, it's truly through grit. Um, you build your book, you work hard, you stay late. And so I knew, hey, this initial role might not be my biggest cup of tea, but it's my in. It's a great team, great prospects on the horizon. And so I've grinded for the last 2 years, staying late. We work weekends, always saying yes, raising my hand for every opportunity that's come my way to, even if it's not directly tied toward my paycheck, to grow. And it worked out well in my end, is that I finally got the promotion. But it is, it's definitely been a grind, but I can't be more grateful for the organization for giving me the chance.
absolutely. And then, like you said, during the process of getting the position, you just said, "Hey, okay, I'm going." You was confident enough to say, I have the skills to do something different,"
Yes.
and you weren't afraid to put yourself out there. Like you said, yes, you put it yourself out and say, okay, what did I just put myself? Did I just say that to the
Yeah, I was shocked at myself.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. But you were confident, and
Hmm.
I think that's another good thing for people that are trying to get into this type of industry, and whether it's an account executive or
Hmm.
sports or media and things like that, to be confident in yourself. You should be confident in yourself, and you're thinking, okay, I know what I'm worth,
Hmm.
and let me just see, okay, where I can fit in. And now, as you said, you've been there for the last 2 years.
Hmm.
Congratulations on the promotion. We got to talk about that too. And
Thank you.
when we
We're
were when we were
excited.
when we were chatting about it
Yeah, and it happened like the day
yesterday.
before, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Should I
yeah,
let this man know?" And then I was like, "Nah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta tell
yeah,
him. I
yeah,
gotta break
yeah.
the seal." Yeah,
Well, I got it. Breaking news. I'm glad. I'm
yeah,
glad.
right.
Thank you for
Get the
that.
banner.
But no. But it just shows, you said, confidence in now where you now are today in your role, your day to day. You said it's a grind,
Yeah,
calling and setting up meetings and going back and forth. You said taking them, probably, taking people to the stadium and
yeah.
things like that. I'm sure that's like, it just varies all the time. You probably have different things every day.
Hmm.
Every day is not the same, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of similarities, but you're right. There's that. You got to be creative,
Mm.
and our leadership team does a really good job of thinking of creative ways to get face to face, and it's up to me to get people there and to close them there.
Yeah, for sure. And all right, well, let's as you said, you announced, you said a recent promotion. Congratulations, first and foremost, on the
Thank
promotion.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Of the account manager of premium
Hmm.
experience of the Fire. Talk a little bit
Yes.
about what that entails.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, to kind of give you I guess, some insight about the difference of this role versus the one I was doing before. Before I was 100% selling. I had taken on additional work inside the organization outside of my day to day, but my goal, I had my sales goal, and my goal was constantly drive revenue, drive season ticket memberships, really. And so I realized through the last 2 years that I love the relationship building. But I didn't necessarily love the handing off of accounts. So
Mm,
oftentimes I would sell season tickets and it would get handed off to a service rep, and I'd see them at the stadium and it'd be great. But I still knew that there was potential to grow that relationship. And so
yeah,
I often had to, hand it off and immediately go back to the next. And so that's one thing I wanted in my next position here at the Fire. The other thing is, as a new business seller, I've been able to kind of understand more of the business landscape in Chicago. And I've learned that I love networking events and I love talking about businesses with people. And that's probably because I grew up with parents who were small business owners. And
yeah,
so
right.
I love understanding the intricacies of a business because everyone's run differently, especially when you're dealing with a lot of these, mom and pops and all the way to the biggest corporations in America. We've got the good balance here in Chicago, and so this new position gives me both. So I'll be managing with one other incredibly talented rep our premium book. So think our field side seat holders, our lounge holders. It's my job to make sure one we fulfill our contractual obligations, but go above and beyond, provide them white glove service, and then make sure they renew year over year. And now I'm in this unique groove where we've got a new stadium that we're playing in 2028. So my job is to keep them as happy as possible and help some of them make that transition to the new venue where they're probably paying a bit more, and then help others figure out, oh, if I can't afford the same product in the new stadium, what does that look like for me to keep them still engaged with the Fire?
Okay, yeah, so big promotion, as you said. Now, new stadium coming up.
Yeah,
That's always huge.
exciting.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I live in Philly,
Oh,
and
nice.
they're thinking of building a new stadium for the Sixers and the
Okay.
Flyers. I think Sixers, I think,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be like in 2030.
Okay.
So that's yeah, that whole
It's
thing. I've
quick.
been yeah, it's very quick. Yeah, and then I'm sure, like you said, talking as from a business standpoint of it,
Hmm.
there's a lot of work involved and a lot of things can go either way. And I'm sure you got to keep you got to definitely keep your eyes on how it's transitioning and how it's going and things like that. So uh talk about that a little bit about the new stadium and how exciting of news is that just to be a part of that the new stadium building and planning of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredibly exciting. We look, or I guess, I've seen the leaders that they've brought in to bring the new stadium project, and these were people that were extremely successful at their current positions.
Yeah.
That would be people that fielded multiple opportunities.
Mm,
And to know that a lot of them decided to pick up and move their family to Chicago and embark on this new stadium, one just, shows the significance of the project, but then also to hear them speak about it, um, you know, I don't have the tenure in the sport industry to understand that it is extremely and exceedingly rare to be part of a new stadium project.
yeah.
It's once in a lifetime within a sports career, and so
Right.
I'm young enough in my career that the opportunity to have a chance at being on this new stadium team, when it comes to service and entertainment, and even how does that look at my career 10 years down the line? Like this will be, a rocket shoot, a rocket launch, for my career and my trajectory in the organization, outside of the organization, just professionally. And you see the excitement in the office about right now we're dual working, and like you said, there are a lot of crossovers, but then there's also a lot of distinction between the new stadium. It'll be a smaller venue. We'll own the venue. Currently, we rent the venue, so there's
Right.
you know issues there with that leadership's dealing through. That's exciting for us, and it's constantly be on your toes because information is changing day to day. I think it was originally announced as $650 million project, and it's, from what I'm hearing, sounds like Joe is putting more money in already. So
Yeah.
yeah, but not surprising given the cost of, construction and everything right now, but it's just you can feel the energy in the air, and I know it's, 3 years away, 2 years away, but it's gonna fly by. We got, like, 2 short
Yeah.
seasons here, so it is yeah, you really gotta, and it's nice to be like, "Hey, I wanna be here through the new stadium, so I know for the next 3 years, I wanna continue to be at this organization and grow," and leadership really respects that here.
That's I think that's fascinating because you said you want to be part of that and you're part of it now, and they said 2-3 years that's going to go by so fast.
Mhm.
And the next thing you know will be 2028, and
Right? Yeah,
it'll
it's just a
be
blink of an eye.
yeah, Olympic year again and things like
Mhm.
that too, so for sure. All right, just got a couple more before I let you go.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you
I'll invite you
about
down, man.
yeah, you should. Hey, I'm ready to come back to Chicago. I want to go to Chicago. I've only been one time, and in the summer I want to come though. I don't want to
Okay.
go this winter. Yeah,
Oh,
don't want to
yeah.
visit in the
Summertime
winter.
shy is unmatched. It's miserable right now. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
stay away right now.
No, I know. Yeah, Chicago winter. They're not. No, Philly winter is pretty brutal, but I know Chicago's even worse.
Mhm.
When it comes. But I'm from upstate New
Yeah.
York, so I know how that is too. That's even more brutal.
Okay.
From
Yeah.
from it too,
Yeah.
from a winter's perspective. But talking
Mhm.
about where as a leader in the leadership role, how can the
Mhm.
sports industry better educate more women that are represented in leadership roles?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I I've traditionally had, outside of one female leader here briefly, I've traditionally had male leaders, and some of them have been the most incredible men I've ever had. But I've always
Mm.
struggled with not being able to see a role model on a path that I
Yeah.
could envision for myself. It's like that gray space. It's like, oh, and I don't call myself a trailblazer. I don't think that's it. I just think it's a lack of oftentimes, you know, representation in the industry. And I've been lucky enough to get a part of WISE, which is a professional, it's a nonprofit networking group, women in sports and events. And there are some of the most incredible superstar woman within this professional networking group. And I realized a year ago that even if some of the leaders aren't necessarily on the sales team in front of me, there are leaders within this space, and a lot of them are doing incredible work. A lot of them are setting goals, crushing goals. And so being able to network with women in that space and just not constrict myself to people who work at the fire, but open it up to the Chicago network, to the US network of incredible females, it has been really impactful for me. But I can't imagine what it would be like if I didn't have a networking group like that.
Yeah.
You know and so I, in addition to working as hard as I can, I realize that it's on me to be the change that I want to see. And while I'm not in a official leadership position now, I am part of our leadership and training
Yeah.
group here. I'm a leader on our DE&I council. Like, there are ways that I can be a leader without having a title, and I think trying to be authentically myself as a leader is something that I've always tried to stick to. And I've realized that, sometimes it's easier to lead people without a title.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm constantly with people on the first layer of our organization, and so it's how can I become a role model for the next generation of sellers, the next generation of kids fresh out of college. And if I can continue that mindset, my hope is someday there will be 30 other people who have done the same thing as me, and all of a sudden, it's no question that there's females in leadership at the fire and sales at the fire. We are
Yeah.
there, and we're well qualified, and we're well respected.
Yeah. And I think, as you said, just being your authentically self,
Mhm.
you lead by example. Just in that,
Yeah.
and in the role that you're in, you said you don't might not have the leadership title, but in words, but you said
Yeah.
you can always lead just by example, just being yourself, and that leads to my last question of, you're doing things right and doing things tremendous because of some of the accomplishments, as I said earlier. The 2025 Wise Women to Watch
Mhm.
winner, also the 2024 Wise Women to Watch nominee, and also the 2024 Chicago Fire FC Rookie of the Year. Talk about what those accomplishments mean to you, and congratulations on that, as on
Thank
those as
you.
well. But yeah, talk about what those accomplishments mean to you.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to get the recognition. It's extremely humbling. I think there are plenty other people that are well deserving, if not more deserving than me, of a lot of these awards. And sometimes, you can do I always joke about, good sales karma on the floor, which,
Mhm.
it essentially means you treat your peers right, you don't steal sales. Sometimes you hand off a deal even if it's supposed to be yours because, you understand it's
Right.
better for the business.
Yep.
And so I always tell people, like, good sales karma comes back tenfold. I do believe that. Now, do the numbers prove it? Who knows? But I think I have I never wanted people to doubt my work ethic. Even if I wasn't, the number one seller, I wanted to be the hardest worker, or at least, recognized as a really hard worker. And sometimes it can be a bit of a drag, and you wonder, does anyone notice? I'm not getting a pay increase, I'm not getting the sales I want. What does this look like? And moments like that really remind me that we're often judged for the whole of our character,
Mhm.
beyond just an individual contribution or attribution. And so there, I'm incredibly grateful to have that recognition, and I'm really proud of myself for putting myself in positions to get that award. But I think for me, it's like, how can I convince my destiny to outdo me and get it next year? How do I continue to grow on that?
Yeah, I think, and again, that goes back to your leadership skills. Humbly, it says sharing, they said the spotlight and things like that. I think that goes a long way of showing the character that you have and the recognition that you deserved and that you are getting now. And I think that's a good point too. Sometimes you feel like you work so hard
Yeah.
and you're thinking, okay, it might not be a raise increase, but you said you got the
Mhm.
promotion, you got the award, so people are watching,
Right.
people are seeing. So again, congratulations on all the success that you've had and even moving forward too, for sure, as well. So Erin, this has been a incredible and time. Thank you again. Incredible conversation. I really appreciate your time and just share your story, a little bit of your story, and the best is yet to come, as they say.
Right.
So I know you're looking forward to said getting that promote. You got that promotion, so you're moving forward on that. And so again, I can't thank you enough for doing this. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can do this again. And before I let you go, let everyone know where they can actually follow you, want to reach out to you, um, that want to reach out to you for advice, or anything like that. Let them know where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I try and be an open book. So, work related, I'm really good at checking LinkedIn, even though sometimes I left Courtney on red. But blow up my
Yeah.
LinkedIn DMs. You can message me multiple times. I will get it eventually. But Erin Parker on LinkedIn is a great place to start. If you're looking for, a mentor or just to ask personal questions about my experience in the industry and what's something a little more informal, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I want to say my handle is Erin Parker 4, I think, question
Mm.
mark. But yeah, feel free to reach out to either one of those. More than happy to help anyone in any point in their career and see how I can provide some guidance or make some connections for you.
Absolutely. And like you said, that yes, I knew you were answering because we were talking already. So I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get that. No, I totally get it. I do that sometimes too. So I'm
Yeah.
not the only one. I'm trying to be better at
Right.
answering DMs and then things like
In
that. Because
season is hard. Yeah, I
yeah,
always tell people
yes,
it's hard to get a hold of me in season, and we made the
yeah,
playoffs, so my in season lasted an extra
mm,
month. But out of
yeah.
season, I like tonight. I got a little more flexibility for you.
Right, right. So which was good. I'm glad we got a chance. Like I said, got a chance to do this.
Yeah.
So for sure. But you definitely answered, and we were just chatting back and forth. So
Yeah.
it's all good. I'm glad we networked and got this going and
Me too.
everything to you. So thanks again, Aaron, for your
Of
time,
course.
and thank
Yeah. Have
you
a great
again.
night.
Yeah, you too, and I'll share this on LinkedIn as well, the full
Okay.
interview
Yeah.
and everything too. So happy holidays to you and your family, and happy New Year. And hopefully, like I said, we'll do this again. So.
All right, man. Have a great night.
All right, you
See
too.
ya.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Erin Parker. Thank you for her time. So appreciate it. Again, follow her on LinkedIn, account executive at Chicago Fire FC, and she does a lot of good things there as well. So again, thank you for everyone that tuned in. Got a couple more shows tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that on all the social media platforms with the promotions and things like that. So again, thank you to Erin Parker, account executive at Chicago Fire FC. All right, until next time. Hopefully everyone enjoy the rest of their evening. As always, peace. God bless.